Peace, 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 peace. Knowledge of wisdom. As knowledge the born was made manifest, showing and proving 360 degrees, the triangle, the rectangle, the square, the cube, the sphere. All of these things are within nature, like as above, so below, as below, so above. You can see them. You can see with a microscope, and you can see with a telescope. So, with this type of information, accumulated facts that are made before you were able to read. Somebody had already looked into the sky and saw and wrote it down millennia ago on this planet, even longer, because the original man has no beginning nor ending, but the planet Earth had a beginning. They say in the ether, it all came down together as one, from the world of fleshless to the world of flesh. It all came down as one. So that first manifestation was the first to go from knowledge to born, from born back to knowledge to the physical realm. Of course, those manifestations wouldn't have a belly button, things of that nature, because they didn't go through the womb. Knowledge of born was made manifest mentally first, then in the physical sense. It didn't have to go through the womb to be manifested in its first manifestation, in the first cognizance of the reality of the physical plane. Once the physical plane was made manifest in this reality, then from that point on, you came through the womb. That's why it was knowledge and wisdom that was made manifest together and bring about an understanding. So, to leap ahead, jump leap. When knowledge to born was made manifest, right? It went from knowledge to born and from born back to knowledge. So, if you say man, woman, child, that means that Trinity was there from the first inception of physical manifestation. Those three, bam. So that child came from going from knowledge to born, from born back to knowledge, without going through the womb of the earth. That physical wisdom, myself, divine sight, the master did it, and the knowledge did it. Right? Coming on the physical plane. It was knowledge, wisdom, understanding. It was a triangle. There was a knowledge, wisdom, understanding in the culture. And that could have been a rectangle, could be a square. You could make it into cubes because it could be in back. It could be dimensional. It could be time. It could be based on black holes or based on suns, or because time is motion being made, manifestation of the rotation, spinning, the vortex. It was there before. The vortex was there before the physical manifestation of the planet Earth. So even if the planet Earth was in here, the vortex would reform, because the vortex is always here. She's the vortex. That's like saying man is not the body nor the soul, man is the mind. But man does have a physical composition. You see it right here. We make it manifest on this physical plane of existence. There is no mystery God. Everything comes right back down to the physical plane. That's why we be saying, when we look at agriculture, we look at food, clothing, and shelter, we look at knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and we look at things like the culture, and we looking forward. So by looking forward, we have to come to see that you have to be in this reality, what's happening today. And what is the remedy for this today? Is there a remedy for today? Yes, there is. There's always a remedy. Just by manifesting knowledge yourself, you start completing the remedy of freeing up your people. You have to have accumulated facts. Accumulated facts will automatically free you up. There's no way that the nation has a body of accumulated facts and it won't free itself up. Yes, it will. See, the key into freeing yourself up is after you have a body of accumulated facts, then you have to do with the accumulated facts. If you don't trust your accumulated facts, And that might be a problem there. But if you trust your, if, because it's in the lesson, you and I verse. If you trust your possession, not you are, but your, showing possession of the lessons. They become your lessons. You quoted them, right? They're yours now. Now, do you trust what you quoted? Or you don't? Or you think it's not? You might not want to trust what the devil made you quote. But you might want to trust what God gave you to quote. That's what people be doing. They be hearing what God, oh God, help me. God send them some help. They be still saying, oh God, help me. Because they're not listening to the help. The help is telling them what to do. But they're not listening. That's what's happening. So, but that's the way it works. The help be coming, son. The help be coming. They would say in the hood, the help be coming, son, but y'all don't be bagging it up. Now, I don't know if the young people say it quite like that anymore, but that's how we would have said it. I tell y'all, man, listen, that's how we would have said it. And it wasn't like son wasn't gender, because I would see in those days the sisters would be, whoever was their son. You know what I'm saying? Whoever was their son. In them days, especially if you came in them houses where you couldn't be really saying, you couldn't be saying my nigga like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we wasn't talking like that in the house, and you couldn't get in. And so we knew this much. Don't get into the habit of saying it. And then you're going to slip in the kingdom when you get relaxed. It'll be some real fat science come through. Because we used to say fat like that, man. PHAT and all that. We did all that to that. We was doing the lessons and all that. We was doing all that, man. I guess it caught on in 85 to start using it too, but I don't think they really knew what we meant. But at the end of the day, we was all trying to get to the truth. So some of us made it, some of us didn't. It is what it is. Everybody don't make it. Some people, we took casualties. What did you expect? We were in the middle of the war of Armageddon. Not easy. It's a fight to the finish, baby. So you're going to take casualties. It is what it is. We licked our wounds, picked up our wounded. We ain't leave no men behind. I mean, if you was physically gone, we might have took your dog tags, as they would say in the military. Might not have been able to carry you, but damn for saying, your body just laying there looking like a fucking corpse. Corpus delicti, we didn't do that. We made sure everything was good. So anyway, long story short, that's the military talking though, but that was more metaphorical. It wasn't like we were really on a physical battle zone, but we took a lot of casualties in a mental battle though. But anyway, long story short, right? So as everything is traveling throughout the universe, and the equilibrium is manifesting itself, and we one, coming together as one, that's what changes the manifestation. That's why the devil works so hard to destroy the one that can galvanize the many into one, because one stood against many, and it was glorious. But if one can magnetically bring many together, oh man, there's glory in that too, because all those ones who bring people together, they can come together. You see? And it's not you gotta physically come together. You gotta come together on certain ideologies and ideas that are truths. That's what you have to do. That's why I look at 120, it always says the first thing it's talking about poison animal eater. So in my mind I see that as If you're eating flesh and you're eating it according to what law are you using is really where it goes to. Where are you trying to go with it? And then you can make your determination from that. It's the same thing as if you're eating, that could be metaphorical, because what are you eating mentally? What are you putting in your head? Also, it's not just what you put in your body, because you need to keep the temple clean. People don't eat clean because they eat based on their money. And that's been happening throughout the ages. That's why places like Kemet and all them fermented einkorn or encorn, or however the corn they call it, einkorn, right? Somebody knows how to pronounce it. They're going to say it, whatever the case. Bring that up. Fact finders, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Well, anyway, when ancient Kemet was feeding, it was the bread basket. It was feeding, bread basket. It was feeding the masses people who couldn't have means, who didn't have means or couldn't get a ways to a means of sustaining energy for the body. Has to burn some kind of fuel. So they fermented or sourdough'd wheat, ancient wheat though, which was einkorn. Wasn't this shit y'all eating today? Right. They fermented it and they fed, a lot of people. So people was all right. They could make it because once you ferment the fruit of the grass, because it's really grass and that's its fruit, once you ferment it and correctly knead it, and it needs to be fermented, yeast up, something has to be done to it on a bacteria level, by nature's bacteria level, that changes the protein so that you as a person can digest it. It's not rocket science. That's what happens. Ancient Kemet has it on the walls already. More than 10,000 years before Rome. Okay? So let's keep it real. It was like in Genesis. Gemini. Look up Gemini. That zodiac sign, that constellation, it was in that constellation. Today we're on the cusp of Piscean and Aquarian. It takes a long time for the cusp to go all the way through, so most people don't see it. If they're at the beginning of the cusp, they don't see the end of the cusp. Can be done. Say if you was a baby and you was born a quarter in the end of a quarter in or a quarter on the other end, like that, you could make it, because that might only be because it might be like 120 years to get to a full cusp. Then you hit the beginning of what's going on. But anyway, long story short, you traveling that way. You can do it that way. But at the end of the day, if you're not adjusting, see, that's the remedy. What is the remedy? You have to adjust to your environment, what's going on. All right, so. But everybody's not going to do it, because remember when we first was telling people in the 60s, we were telling them that they needed to stop eating pork. That was like the main thing that the 60s are remembered for with knowledge itself, is that dietary law changed. A lot of shit changed when the dietary law changed. And so they started to clean up themselves, ate clean. And Devil tried to make it sound like eating clean is not good, but he does it to try to look younger than he looks. Imagine if you eat clean. Your body would build muscle without even doing anything. It would regulate itself. You wouldn't have to work out and all strenuously. And that's not what you need to be doing. If you put the right fuel in, your body will regulate itself. It doesn't need you to work out and everything to make sure that it's right and exact. No. doesn't need you to do that. It can do it on its own, but you have to give it the correct fuel. You're in control of the fuel. You're in reverse, though. They got you thinking you should be spending all your money on clothing and no money on food. It should be the other way around. You should be spending them to getting the bargains on clothing, because clothing wear out quicker than your body will, ever, if you wear it right. You'll never have a pair of pants for 100 years, but you could be on Earth for 100. You could have this skin as your real covering. You have to take care of your organs. Your organs take care of your body, your muscle and your bone, and they work synergetically. And then it's all based on your digestive system and how you consume food, and then it turns it into liquid, your stomach, and then when you start chewing it up, you're not chewing it up to keep it as a solid. You eventually turn everything into a liquid, and then it breaks it down and turns it into your body. So if you're eating garbage, you're turning your body into garbage. Those cells don't have good shit to work with. You're not giving them good fuel, but it doesn't take long to repair whatever damage you did. It doesn't take that long. You just have to stop putting the poison in. Or there's an alternative. You could stay eating Western food, but you have to take Western pharmaceuticals to sustain life, or you're going to die. So you got to make your choice. You're either going to go, well, I'm going to go. And you might still die either way. Everybody's going to die. I don't think you're going to be like living forever, motherfucker. No, but quality of life. You could live a long time off of Western pharmaceuticals and eat crazy and shoot your insulin up and eat crazy again and shoot your insulin up and just keep on doing it in a circle till they start chopping little pieces off of you. You'll still be alive. They'll be cutting little pieces off of you here and there, and eventually you be old. You be like down to maybe your knees or some shit like that. You know, could be some shit like that. Maybe your hands might be, some of them fingers might be gone, or shit like that happen to them. So if you want, you might go blind. All that shit happen from eating Western diet. Because in the Western diet, the foundation to the Western diet is chemicals. Basically, you're eating a bunch of chemicals. Your body can't really fucking deal with that after a certain amount of time. When the young people are getting damaged by it, that's when you really know it went inside the DNA now. It's seeped into the sperm and the egg, basically. So it could take a generation to get it clean. I mean, where it's not in our DNA, but you could do it in no matter of time, because you could see yourself, your children, and your grandchildren. Easy, see? One. Clean. Done. Now go to the next level. The next level of taking care of the physical and the mind. It's all one. So you can't think like the devil. The devil sets up everything into systems and separates one system from the next system. But its ecosystem is not that way. It's more in a circle, sphere. It's like a sphere, a square, a cube, a triangle. But it's three-dimensional. It's four-dimensional, fifth dimension. It's dimensional too. It's as above, so below, as below, so above. It's together, but it's cohesive, but it's adhesive. All these things are manifesting themselves in the physical plane of existence at one time. You only are aware of the part that your senses pick up, and that's what you keep cognizant. So you can sustain life on this physical plane, because other than that it'd be too much bombardment. You don't need all of those active senses that you have. You don't need them all active immediately all the time. You know how to cut them off and on, but you'll learn that in time as you change your diet, your sense, everything will heighten. Wolverine and all that kind of shit. Your healing factor changes. Everything changes when you change from eating how the devil tell you to eat and then go with God's diet. If you stay with the devil's diet, And like I said, if you go with Western civilization, dietary law that is against nature, then you bring in all of the negative energy that is made manifest on that type of lifestyle. That lifestyle brings with it pancreas failure, brings with it circulatory failure, organ disaster. It's like the rest of the planet is an ecological disaster because of the consuming of all the resources that they call resources, which is really the lifeblood of the planet. That's what they're doing. They're eating her like parasite. It's like they're eating her. They're literally eating her alive. Because they're telling everybody she's not alive. She's an inanimate object. Okay. That's what you think. She's not. She's alive. She's the earth. The earth is a big, giant sphere. The flat world people will say, no, it's flat. Okay, either way, it's still her. At the end of the day, because if y'all are flat, then you gotta have some kind of mystery god, or that dome wouldn't work. So you gotta have, if you have some kind of mystery god, eventually, based on your parameter where you're coming from, I would say, you're probably going to end up going back to the God of Abraham somehow. Because all of those different offshoots go back to Abraham. I don't care which one you're trying to jump off of. Unless you're going back to Thor and them. Now, you could be going back to Asgard or... Because even on Mount Olympus, they was on top of Mount Olympus, but they was on the earth. So, they didn't dispute that they were on earth, but Thor and them are a little more intricate with the different 9 realms. See, they going into realms. Now, all the other realms seem to be flat. I haven't seen any of them where they actually depicted the Earth as a flat realm. They always made it a circle there. Because those realms were in different time zones or dimensions or realms or whatever the case may be. How the religion spoke on. The same way the Catholics in the church speak on the different realms when you go into heaven. And it's the same concept. You know, don't try to make it look like it's something else. It's the same. They just now want to diss them and call them, their mythology. Yeah, it was you doing it. You only switched over because that was where the new power seat came at. When Constantine did the 3-7 thing, 3-5-7, when he did that, then he said he aimed everybody towards Christianity because he seen that he could get, more powers. The new upstart religion. They kept saying, that new upstart God. Lu Among, it's going to go right into the Green Book. Go right in there and look at Lu Among. That's the 9th. It's the 9th book, but it looks more like a chapter to me, but I'm saying. That's another concept. That's on IHVH too. It's that level. It's 357 IHVH, Kabbalah, Qualistic Tree of Life, Zohar, all those stories. Look at those. You could cross-reference those with Green Book and all that. I mean, I don't know. The White Book don't really touch on that subject. It goes into something else more with banging it bangs the what do they call themselves? Evolutionary people, because they all got their own little group that their religion is to say that they're not a religion and that they are a science. But they're really a religion, trust and believe, and the state sanctioned them. Just like way back in the days, Rome sanctioned Jupiter as the god. That was the religion. So, it is what it is. I'm out. Peace.
and raping Breonna Taylor, it was also about humiliating and emasculating her husband. This was about destruction of black family, destruction of black life, destruction of black people. There's no other way. Understand that there's no other way for this to be understood. Okay? Sexual violence was used to maintain a racial hierarchy. Understand that this Ruby Pickford, it's another name. Ruby Pickford was raped by another black woman, raped by a white man, and not only did he rape her, he roped her up behind the truck and drove her behind the truck. She survived, but he tied her behind the truck and drove off with her tied behind the truck. That's Ruby Pickford. Two different women. Now, before I get deep into Oprah, let's go deeper a little bit deeper into like the dehumanization of black women. There was a woman named Mary Turner, a black woman named Mary Turner. And she was also lynched, but I'm gonna move this over a little bit. I want to just read this to you. Her husband was murdered for basically killing an awful overseer, because it was convict leasing. Because remember, we weren't free. After we had the whole stuff with slavery, what they did to get free labor, they just said it started convict leasing, but they didn't call it slavery, but it was slavery. So slavery existed well into the 1900s, and anybody who tells you that it didn't is a liar that you shouldn't be bothered with. No, but hold on. After her husband was murdered, this is another thing. They're talking about Valdosta, Georgia, people. You're talking about Valdosta, Georgia. According to investigator Walter F. White, the NAACP, Mary Turner was tied and hung upside down by the ankles. Her clothes soaked with gasoline and burned from her body. She was 8 months pregnant when this happened. When she was set on fire, she was 8 months pregnant. Now, the reason they set her on fire was because she was defending her husband who had been lynched. And she said, basically, these people need to be held to account. My husband did not do anything. I am defending my husband. And they lynched her, hung her upside down, and set her on fire. Okay, that's not the worst part. Her belly was slit open with a knife used for splitting hogs. Her unborn baby fell on the ground and gave 2 cries before it was stomped to death. Her baby gave 2 cries before her baby was stomped to death by the people. If you can call them people, I would not call these people human beings. If you can call these people people, the people who set her on fire, those are the same people who cut her baby out and stomped her baby to death. You ever see a roach come up on you real quick and you didn't expect, you just hit him real quick? You ain't got the braid or nothing, you just hit him real quick. That's how they did her baby. These people, they have sham trials. Trials don't mean anything. And they rarely, if ever, held accountable. There was no indictments in terms of we talk about recent, no indictments in terms of that. They came and said, well, we can't get the jury of, the grand jury, all white men. Okay? I want you to understand this in the context of how I'm going to talk about Oprah and how I'm going to interpret what she just did, which is this was the most duplicitous thing I saw. And I saw y'all cheering this on YouTube, cheering this on Facebook, and I'm thinking to myself, how are my people not understanding what Oprah just did to us with that speech? How are they not understanding how we were just co-opted and how our history and legacy and lineage in this country was just co-opted? in that speech. Now listen, one of the things that black people and black women have to be proud of is Rosa Parks. People talk about Rosa Parks being on the bus. Rosa Parks wasn't it. She was part of the NAACP, and what she used to do, she used to go and take testimony from people. And so she took testimony from Reese Taylor about what happened. And they formed a whole crew of activists. Activists and organizers, ladies and gentlemen, not people who want to invest.
Born to give birth to. Born means complete in its season. Birth means complete in its natural form. For example, the complete numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There are only 9 digits to the mathematics. 1 to 9 plus 0. 0 equals cipher, and a cipher is only used for crossing over a bridge or transformation. The distance between 1 and 9 are the trials and errors, which are from 2 to 8, that you have to go through. There are 7 trials and errors to be born. We want to be successful and able to give birth to, but we were born to give birth to a new nation of people. So we must learn all mathematical units carefully. Here are some meanings of the first 3 numbers. 1 is knowledge, 2 is wisdom, 3
is understanding.